Over the years, I've had great backstories and not so great ones. We would usually write them, toss them over to the DM, and hope they did something magical. But as I look back at most of the backstories I wrote, I can see why it wasn't easy for my DM to pluck out the important parts of my narrative masterpiece. Let's fix that. Hey everybody, I've been writing and receiving backstories for nearly 40 years, from the simple one-liners, "I'm a farmer," to epics rivaling both the Iliad and the Odyssey. But not all these great backstories were easily usable by the DM, and sometimes they were so packed with content that I would have a tough time discerning fluff from foundational. Some players love to delve deep into their histories, to lay out their complete lineages and every NPC that crosses their path, while others are content with giving almost no information. If this information is purely to help you flesh out how you want to play your character, then there's really no wrong answer. Your character is yours, have at it. But if you want your backstories to be integrated into the world, used by your DM, we might want to lay out some guidelines to help your DM. It starts with the DM. The DM should begin each campaign by outlining their expectations on backstories. Just like every other aspect of the campaign, from races or subclasses allowed to where you'll be starting, the DM creates the parameters for all character creation. A good DM isn't telling a story. They are letting the players tell their own stories, but they are world builders. If you want your backstory to be used by the DM should give guidelines to how they intend to use them. Is your DM creating a campaign based primarily on your backstories, or is this a pre-made adventure that the DM might not feel comfortable changing? Maybe your DM is expecting to mine your rich history for plot hooks, or maybe they have a family and just barely have enough time to read the pre-made adventure. If your DM doesn't state their expectations with backstories, ask them before setting down to pen your brief history of time. Even DMs that have been running games for years might not realize they haven't provided guidelines. You'll want to know if you're writing backstories for yourself or for the DM to use. Keep in mind that not every DM is a Mercer or a Mulligan. In fact, most of us aren't. But if you help your DM out, you might find you get better results getting your backstory integrated into the world. TLDR. DM should give players some idea on the length and format they prefer to receive as backstories to make using them easier. For example, one of my friends loves to read. In fact, every time a new book comes out in a series, he rereads like the entire series. It's crazy. On the other hand, I often struggle to get past chapter 1 of most books because my brain just wanders. Is the DM looking for a bulleted list of about a page long, or are they eager to read a 10-page story written in first person? The DM shouldn't be surprised by what the player hands them. I like to think I'm going to read 5 or 6 mini novels and make them the basis of my new campaign, but I know short bulleted lists I can refer to work better for me over the course of the adventure. Just remember the DM is doing a lot, even if it's a pre-made adventure, and each DM has a finite amount of time to work on their gaming world. Accommodating them should give them more time to create a better experience for you. As a side note, I've known DMs to hand out massive lore to players as a setting book for their homebrew world. Some players might love this, but in my experience, most players barely get to the assigned reading. Don't expect your players to read a 50-page summary of your world before they begin the game. If you're building a homebrew world, provide a summary that describes the people and places that are most obvious in the most simple terms. A statement like, Cornor is a town commanded by the warlord Phalanx, and its legion of Shadow Knights maintain peace with strict laws and aggressive punishment, will be good enough for most players. Players who want to know more will ask, while others will be content knowing Cornor is a location they should be wary to enter. Of course, this can spur a conversation with a player if they wish to put their backstory in Cornor, and at that point, you can reveal even more to the player who shows interest. For the rest of the players, they are more interested in their characters than your world at the beginning. That's perfectly normal. Your NPCs and encounters can reveal details as the game progresses. Players will become more invested in the world they play in, not in the one they just read about. Know your setting. Next, know the world you're about to enter. Your DM should give a reasonable summary of where your game is taking place and what the initial situation is. Are you heading into the well-known Forgotten Realms, or is this a homebrew land where the undead have overtaken most of the world and civilization stands on the brink of annihilation? Are you studying Rime of the Frostmaiden, where Goliaths and barbarians are common, or are you facing off against Strahd? Are you playing in a world that your character has lived in, or are you going to be removed from all your history as you cross the mist into Barovia? You don't want to expect your DM to use research lists of NPCs you provided only to be placed in a location far from any chance of running into them. If you ever have any questions, it's better to ask your DM than to assume. Your starting ethics. A backstory should try to include a character's starting ethics. This is a sentence or two that declares your character's purpose in life. It's a great way to guide your character throughout the campaign and create a consistent identity. Your DM can use your ethics to provide drama for your characters that is meaningful. It also gives the DM an opportunity to address any issues they might have with your character's morals or principles. Your ethics, even if they conflict with the DM's goals, can be negotiated with the DM to make the game more fun for everyone. This might entail a character arc. More on that in a moment. A few examples of mission statements are: I stand for justice above all else. The laws of the realm are important to me, as are the safety of all its citizens. Go talks, BS walks. Don't bother me with your sob stories. I'm willing to take great risks for great rewards. Sylvanus, the Forest Father guides me. I protect the forest from the encroachment of civilization and the blight of the Shadow Realms. Your ethics can be in direct conflict with other players' ethics if you want inter-party conflict. But always remember, in the end, it's a party game and you're not only one player. Character goals. After defining your ethics, I would suggest adding character goals. A character's goals outline where they see themselves evolving in the future, and these goals can change the character's initial ethics over time. A good set of character goals can turn a bland hit point machine into a memorable experience for everyone. Though you won't know the details of what the DM has in store for you, giving your DM an idea of where you want to take your character will help guide them. Goals can be tasks you want to accomplish, or how you want your character to change over time. You're not bound by these goals, of course, but listing them in some way allows you and your DM to begin the game with an understanding of where you expect your character to journey towards. They can be physical goals, such as, I intend to hunt down the dragon who stole our family's sword from my father. Internal goals usually include a character arc. The process of changing your character's ethics over time is your character's arc. The best stories have character arcs because the drama and conflicts that take your character through their transition are typically the most memorable roleplay situations, in my opinion. Consider having your goals include a character arc if you want to experience this type of play. Examples of internal goals are: I will learn to regret the selfish pact I made with the demon, and might sever ties only to find a new pact that serves others over my own needs. My failures to my first family have driven me to alcoholism. Perhaps finding a new family to care for will lead me to shed my sorrow and become a better person. Your DM may choose to take your character in a different direction, of course, but at least you're giving them options they know in advance would be intriguing for you. Consider your multi-class. Characters in D&D can multi-class. Characters in Pathfinder have archetypes. Many other systems have ways of taking parts of other classes or skill trees outside of their default path. If you know in advance where you want to take your character, consider including that in your goals. For example, if you're planning on taking 2 levels in Fighter and the rest in Sorcerer for an Eldritch Knight who focuses far more on magic, Your DM might be able to write that into the story. Perhaps one of your NPC contacts is a wise sorcerer who recognizes the power that flows within your blood and is eager to help you tap into that power. Perhaps the shaman of your tribe extols the powers of the stars, and your early adventures have you encountering ancient totems, revealing the history and legend of those who can dance with stars, leading you to become a Circle of the Stars druid. Also, consider liking this video if you're having a good time. I greatly appreciate that. Thanks. Why are you on this adventure? Your ethics and character goals can give an overall picture of your character's values and how they might change over time. The next step is to consider why you're on this adventure. Hopefully your DM will give you insight into where you're starting and what the situation is as the campaign begins. The key is to integrate your character into the events of the game. You can match your goals directly to the adventure, or the adventure could be the thing that happens to you on the way to your goals. If your character doesn't have a reason to be on the adventure, talk with your DM before the game begins. It's best to have a game purpose before the first session if possible, and include that in your backstory, which helps lead you right into session 1. Know your party. When writing your backstory, keep the rest of the party in mind. Players might have secrets they want to reveal in dramatic fashion late in the game, but simple knowledge like the character's species or race or ancestry and their class could be well known. That way, you can either avoid unintended conflicts such as disliking all dwarves when half your friends are playing dwarves, or preparing a reason why you might be willing to travel with dwarves even if you dislike them. You can still have disdain for dwarves in general, but write in and out for your DM so that they might prepare a situation to let you avoid the dreaded 3-hour conversation at the table to convince you to join the party. Trust me, no one likes that. Backstories can be a creative process that helps a player flesh out their character as they are at the beginning of the game. They can help players make decisions about their characters as the game progresses, using backstories as reference. However, they should be considered a tool you provide for your DM, as the DM will provide the platform where you can exploit your ethics and meet some of your goals. Collaborative storytelling starts with your background, so consider your DM when creating them. Let me know below what other information you might ask your players to include in their backstories. As always, I love learning from our community. Along with the occasional between game segments, this channel does live plays. We started last year playing D&D. I've slowly introduced Pathfinder games, and we will be exploring other systems in the future. Check out the Pathfinder Beginner Box live play right after this. Please subscribe if you'd like to join us in the future for any of these. Thank you so much for listening. Happy gaming. Bye.